Grandfather paradox. Imagine a situation where time travel becomes possible, and you possess a time machine. You decide to journey back in time to meet your grandfather when he was a young man. However, an unexpected twist occurs. While in the past, you accidentally prevent your grandfather from meeting your grandmother. As a result, your parents are never born, which means you were never born either. Here's the paradox. If you were never born, how could you have traveled back in time to stop your grandfather from meeting your grandmother? If you never existed, then traveling back to cause this situation in the first place would have been impossible. This results in a logical contradiction, as your actions in the past appear to erase your very existence. This is called the grandfather paradox. It is a well-known problem in discussions about time travel and causality, challenging our perception of cause and effect while raising questions about the consistency of time and whether the past can truly be altered. To better understand this paradox, think of it like this. If you could travel back and change events in a way that erases your own existence, you create a scenario where you should never have been able to make those changes. This forms a paradox, as the cause, your time travel, contradicts the effect, your existence. The grandfather paradox is not just a theoretical dilemma. It has significant implications for how we understand time travel. If such travel to the past were possible, it could result in contradictions and complex issues related to causality and the progression of time. The paradox leads to fascinating questions about the nature of time and reality. If traveling to the past could generate such contradictions, what does this imply about the feasibility of time travel? One proposed resolution to the paradox involves the idea of parallel universes, or alternate timelines. According to this theory, if you were to travel back and alter past events, you would not change your own timeline, but instead create a new, parallel one where the changes occur. In this alternate timeline, your actions might prevent your existence, but they would not affect the original timeline from which you came. In this way, the paradox is avoided by suggesting that time travel leads to the formation of branching timelines, rather than modifying a single, fixed one. Each timeline remains internally consistent, preventing contradictions by keeping the changes separate across different realities. Another explanation for resolving the paradox is the concept of time loops, or closed time-like curves. This theory proposes that events in the past exist within a closed loop, meaning that any actions you take while time traveling have already been accounted for in the timeline. Essentially, you may find that you are unable to alter crucial events in the past because they are already integrated into the fabric of time. From this perspective, the paradox is avoided by assuming that time is self-consistent, meaning that even if your actions appear to contradict your own existence, they ultimately fit into a larger, unchangeable loop of events that prevents logical inconsistencies. The grandfather paradox also sparks discussions about the limits of our understanding of time and causality. It challenges our intuitive notions of cause and effect, forcing us to rethink how time flows and whether past events can truly be altered. Beyond philosophy, the paradox has implications across multiple fields, including physics, philosophy, and even popular culture. It serves as a starting point for debates about the nature of time, causality, and whether time travel could ever be feasible. In physics, the paradox raises concerns about the consistency of physical laws and whether time travel could ever be possible. While some theories, such as Einstein's theory of relativity, suggest that time travel is theoretically possible, they also introduce constraints that could prevent paradoxes, like the grandfather paradox, from occurring. Some physicists argue that specific conditions, such as the necessity of infinite energy or closed time-like curves, might prevent scenarios that lead to contradictions. From a philosophical standpoint, the paradox challenges our ideas about determinism and free will. If time travel were possible, would our actions be predetermined, or would we have the ability to alter events? The paradox forces us to grapple with the implications of modifying the past and what it means for our understanding of reality. In popular culture, the grandfather paradox has inspired countless fictional stories, from novels to movies, that explore the complexities and consequences of time travel. These fictional depictions often play with the paradox in creative ways, highlighting its challenges and possible resolutions. Looking forward, the grandfather paradox continues to be a fascinating thought experiment, pushing the boundaries of how we understand time and reality. While time travel remains a theoretical concept, this paradox provides valuable insight into the challenges and limitations that would arise if it ever became a reality. In summary, the grandfather paradox is a compelling puzzle that challenges our fundamental notions of time, causality, and reality. By analyzing this paradox and its implications, we gain a deeper appreciation of the complexities involved in time travel and the broader philosophical questions it raises. The Barber Paradox. Introduced by Bertrand Russell in the early 20th century, the Barber Paradox is a classic example of a self-referential paradox that reveals fundamental problems in logic and set theory. To grasp the paradox, picture a small town with a single barber who follows a very specific rule. He shaves all and only those men who do not shave themselves. This seemingly simple rule leads to a puzzling question. Does the barber shave himself? To break down this paradox, let's analyze the implications of the barber's rule. If the barber shaves himself, then according to his own rule, he must not shave himself. The rule clearly states that he only shaves those who do not shave themselves. Therefore, if the barber shaves himself, he must be excluded from the group he shaves, resulting in a contradiction. On the other hand, if the barber does not shave himself, then he must belong to the group of men that the barber shaves according to the rule. This again leads to a contradiction because if he does not shave himself, he should be shaved by the barber. This paradox highlights an inherent issue in self-referential systems. It demonstrates that defining a set or rule that includes or excludes itself can lead to logical inconsistencies. The Barber paradox is one specific instance of a broader class of self-referential paradoxes that challenge the consistency of formal systems. These paradoxes make it difficult to categorize and define sets in a way that avoids contradictions. Russell's paradox, including the Barber paradox, emerged during a period when mathematicians were striving to establish a firm foundation for mathematics. The early 20th century saw major efforts to formalize mathematical logic and set theory. However, paradoxes like Russell's exposed serious flaws in these systems. The paradox revealed that certain naive approaches to set theory, where sets could be defined in terms of themselves, were fundamentally problematic. The Barber paradox is more than just a theoretical puzzle. It has significant implications for how we understand and structure formal systems. It compels us to reconsider the rules and definitions we use when categorizing and analyzing sets. By presenting a scenario where a barber's self-referential rule results in a logical contradiction, Russell's paradox emphasizes the necessity for more robust mathematical and logical frameworks. As we delve deeper into the paradox, we will uncover how it has influenced the development of modern logic and set theory. The Barber paradox has served as a catalyst for refining formal systems to resolve self-reference issues and prevent contradictions. Understanding this paradox is essential for appreciating the evolution of mathematical logic and the continued pursuit of consistent and reliable formal systems. To fully grasp the depth of the Barber paradox, it is crucial to explore its logical and philosophical implications. The Barber paradox has served as a catalyst for refining formal systems to resolve self-reference issues and prevent contradictions. Understanding this paradox is essential for appreciating the evolution of mathematical logic and the continued pursuit of consistent and reliable formal systems. To fully grasp the depth of the Barber paradox, it is crucial to explore its logical and philosophical implications. The paradox does more than just expose a logical inconsistency. It examines the complexities of self-reference and formal systems. Understanding these aspects requires investigating how the paradox connects to broader logical issues and its impact on modern mathematics and philosophy. At its core, the Barber paradox challenges our comprehension of set theory and self-reference. It questions the validity of constructing sets or rules that refer to themselves. This self-referential nature is the root of the paradox. The barber's rule creates a situation where his identity as a member of the set he shaves leads to a logical contradiction. This reflects a more general issue in formal logic: how to handle statements or sets that refer to themselves without creating inconsistencies. One of the major logical problems revealed by the paradox is the difficulty of defining a set that includes or excludes itself. This issue is not unique to the Barber paradox, but is common across various self-referential paradoxes. For example, the well-known Russell's paradox presents the idea of a set containing all sets that do not include themselves. Both paradoxes highlight the limitations of naive set theory, where sets are defined without constraints on their membership criteria. The Barber paradox also demonstrates the broader concept of self-reference in logic. Self-reference occurs when a statement or rule refers to itself, creating a loop that can result in contradictions. In formal logic, handling self-reference demands precise definitions and constraints to prevent paradoxical situations. The paradox serves as a cautionary lesson about the risks of self-referential definitions and the necessity for rigorous logical frameworks. In response to paradoxes like the Barber paradox, mathematicians and philosophers have proposed various solutions to address self-reference problems. One approach is to revise the foundational principles of set theory. For instance, Bertrand Russell himself introduced type theory as a solution, which organizes sets hierarchically to prevent self-reference. In this system, sets are classified into different levels, and a set of a certain type cannot include sets of the same or a higher type. This prevents self-referential definitions and avoids paradoxes. Another influential approach is Zermelo-Fraenkel ZF set theory, which incorporates the axiom of regularity, also known as the axiom of foundation, to prevent paradoxes. This axiom ensures that no set is a member of itself, thereby eliminating self-referential definitions that lead to contradictions. ZF set theory provides a more consistent framework for handling sets and avoiding the issues highlighted by the Barber paradox and similar paradoxes. These solutions reflect the ongoing refinement of mathematical logic to address paradoxes and maintain consistency in formal systems. They illustrate the continuous effort to strengthen the foundations of mathematics in response to the challenges posed by paradoxes. Beyond mathematics, the Barber paradox has philosophical implications for our understanding of formal systems and self-reference. It raises questions about the nature of definitions and the limits of formal reasoning. The paradox underscores the necessity of precise definitions and constraints in any formal system to avoid contradictions. Philosophically, the paradox also relates to questions about language and meaning. It challenges our ability to construct consistent rules and definitions when dealing with self-reference. The paradox highlights the complexity of formalizing concepts and the importance of carefully structuring systems to prevent logical inconsistencies. To truly appreciate the significance of the Barber paradox, it is essential to examine its influence on various disciplines beyond pure logic and set theory. This paradox has not only shaped mathematical frameworks, but has also made a lasting impact on computer science, philosophy, and the study of formal systems. By exploring these fields, we gain a deeper understanding of how the Barber paradox has influenced modern thought. The Barber paradox has significant implications for computer science, particularly in programming and database theory. Self-referential paradoxes reveal challenges in designing algorithms and systems that must handle recursive definitions and queries. In programming, recursion is a common technique where functions call themselves. While recursion is a powerful tool, it can create complications if not properly managed. The Barber paradox exemplifies the issues that can arise from self-referential constructs. In database theory, similar challenges arise when working with recursive queries and hierarchical data structures. For instance, consider a database that tracks an organizational hierarchy where employees have subordinates, and those subordinates have their own subordinates. Querying such recursive structures requires careful design to prevent paradoxical outcomes or infinite loops. Lessons from paradoxes like the Barber paradox help in developing more robust database systems capable of handling recursion without contradictions. The Barber paradox also resonates with philosophical discussions on truth, self-reference, and the limits of human cognition. Philosophers have long explored how self-referential statements can lead to paradoxes and what this reveals about meaning and truth. The paradox serves as a concrete example of how self-reference can generate logical problems, prompting deeper reflection on the nature of statements and logical consistency. In cognitive science, the paradox highlights the difficulties humans face in processing complex self-referential systems. Understanding and resolving paradoxes requires sophisticated reasoning skills. By studying how individuals engage with and resolve paradoxes, researchers gain insights into human cognition and the limitations of logical thought. In education, the Barber paradox serves as a valuable tool for teaching logic and mathematics. It helps students grasp the complexities of self-reference and the importance of formal definitions. Educators use the paradox to encourage critical thinking and to demonstrate how logical systems must be carefully structured to avoid contradictions. The Barber paradox has also found its way into cultural and literary discussions, symbolizing the complexities of logic and self-reference. It appears in literature as a motif exploring themes of identity, truth, and reality. Its impact extends into popular culture, where paradoxes and self-reference are used to engage audiences with thought-provoking ideas. Ultimately, the Barber paradox goes beyond its origins in set theory and logic. Its influence spans multiple disciplines, reinforcing the necessity for precise and rigorous frameworks in formal reasoning. Unexpected exam paradox. The unexpected examination is a logical puzzle that delves into the tension between prediction and surprise. It begins with a teacher's announcement to a class that they will have an exam at some point during the upcoming week, but it will be a surprise. The paradox challenges students to reconcile the idea of an exam being both scheduled and unpredictable. The scenario starts with the teacher declaring that the exam will take place on one day during the week, but it will be unexpected by the students. The key condition is that the exam must occur on a day that the students do not anticipate. In fact, the student's task is to determine the day of the exam based on this information. To begin with, students might analyze the possible days for the exam. If they consider Friday as a potential exam day, they realize that by Thursday evening, if the exam has not yet taken place, it must happen on Friday. This realization means that the exam would no longer be a surprise, as they would have anticipated it. Given this reasoning, the students might then eliminate Friday as a possibility. They would apply the same logic to Thursday, reasoning that if the exam has not occurred by Wednesday, it must be on Thursday. This process of elimination continues backward through the week, leading students to conclude that the exam cannot take place on any day of the week. This logical deduction appears flawless at first glance. If the exam cannot occur on any of the days, the students might believe that the teacher's announcement is self-contradictory. Yet, if the teacher administers the exam on, say, Wednesday, it would indeed be a surprise. This outcome contradicts the student's logical conclusion that no day can satisfy the surprise condition. The paradox lies in the conflict between the student's reasoning and the actual outcome. The student's logical elimination of each day, based on the surprise condition, results in a contradiction when an unexpected exam occurs. This paradox raises significant questions about how we comprehend prediction and surprise, particularly when faced with conditions that seem to exclude the very event they describe. The essence of the paradox of the unexpected examination is to explore the limitations of our logical reasoning when applied to scenarios involving both predictability and surprise. It challenges our intuitions about how we predict events and how those predictions intersect with the concept of an unexpected occurrence. In this paradox, the logical process of elimination leads to a conclusion that appears to contradict the actual outcome, offering a compelling insight into the complexities of prediction and expectation. Expanding on the paradox of the unexpected examination, we delve deeper into the concepts of knowledge, expectation, and self-reference that underpin the paradox. The puzzle presents a unique perspective on how these elements interact to create a seemingly contradictory situation. One key concept to explore is self-referential reasoning. The paradox involves a self-referential loop where the student's knowledge of the teacher's announcement influences their reasoning about the exam. The teacher's condition that the exam will be a surprise creates a situation where the student's attempts to predict the exam day actually affect their ability to be surprised. This self-referential nature of the paradox complicates the logical reasoning process, leading to an outcome that appears contradictory. The paradox also highlights the concept of epistemic uncertainty, which refers to the uncertainty that arises from our lack of complete knowledge. In this scenario, the student's reasoning is based on their incomplete knowledge of when the exam will take place. This uncertainty leads them to eliminate all possible days, yet the exam can still occur on a day they assumed was impossible. The paradox reveals how epistemic uncertainty can lead to surprising outcomes, even when logical reasoning seems to provide a clear answer. Another relevant concept is confirmation bias, where individuals tend to seek out information that supports their pre-existing beliefs or expectations. In the paradox, the student's elimination of days based on the surprise condition reflects a form of confirmation bias. They search for a day that aligns with the condition of surprise, but end up ruling out all possibilities. This bias shapes their reasoning and contributes to the paradoxical result. The paradox can also be analyzed through the lens of decision theory. In decision-making, individuals often rely on logical reasoning to predict and prepare for future events. However, the paradox of the unexpected examination demonstrates how prediction can be complicated by conditions of surprise. Decision theory emphasizes the importance of considering uncertainty and the potential for unexpected outcomes, highlighting the limitations of static reasoning models. To further understand the paradox, we can explore the concept of dynamic prediction models, which incorporate evolving information and real-time updates. Unlike static models, which depend on fixed assumptions, dynamic models account for the changing nature of predictions. The paradox illustrates how static reasoning can lead to contradictions when faced with conditions involving surprise and uncertainty. By examining the paradox through these various perspectives, we gain a deeper understanding of how knowledge, expectation, and self-reference interact to create a complex and counterintuitive scenario. The paradox challenges our intuitive grasp of prediction and highlights the limitations of logical reasoning when dealing with unexpected outcomes. In exploring the broader implications of the paradox of the unexpected examination, we address its philosophical, practical, and educational significance. The paradox provides valuable insights into how we understand and manage prediction, surprise, and uncertainty in different contexts. One crucial philosophical consideration is the nature of knowledge and prediction. The paradox challenges the notion that complete knowledge or logical reasoning can fully account for future events. It highlights the limitations of our ability to predict outcomes, particularly when the conditions involve elements of surprise. This insight prompts us to reconsider our assumptions about knowledge and prediction, and to acknowledge the inherent uncertainties in our understanding of the future. The paradox also has practical implications for decision-making and risk management. In real-world scenarios, decision-makers must consider uncertainty and prepare for unexpected outcomes. The paradox of the unexpected examination illustrates the challenges of managing expectations and preparing for surprises. It underscores the importance of being adaptable and open to unforeseen events, even when logical reasoning appears to provide a clear picture. In the field of education, the paradox raises questions about the use of surprise assessments and their effectiveness. While surprise exams can motivate students and test their preparedness, the paradox encourages educators to consider how to balance surprise with clarity and fairness in evaluations. It invites a reassessment of assessment practices and their impact on students' learning experiences. The paradox also prompts reflection on the psychological aspects of surprise and expectation. Our expectations shape how we perceive and respond to events. The paradox of the unexpected examination demonstrates how our mental models and expectations can influence our experiences of surprise. This insight has implications for understanding human behavior and how we manage our expectations in various contexts. Finally, the paradox serves as a reminder of the intricate nature of logical reasoning and its limitations. While logical frameworks can offer valuable insights, they are not always equipped to handle scenarios involving surprise and uncertainty. The paradox challenges us to recognize the boundaries of logic and explore alternative approaches for understanding and managing unexpected outcomes. In conclusion, the paradox of the unexpected examination provides valuable insights into prediction, surprise, and knowledge. By examining the paradox from philosophical, practical, and educational perspectives, we gain a deeper understanding of how we approach and interpret unexpected events. The paradox serves as a reminder of the complexities and limitations of logical reasoning. Liar's paradox. The liar's paradox is a well-known and thought-provoking puzzle in philosophy and logic that examines the nature of truth and self-reference. This paradox emerges from statements that refer to themselves in a manner that results in a logical contradiction. To grasp this paradox, let us explore its basic form and the implications it has on our comprehension of logic. The fundamental version of the liar's paradox can be represented by the statement, "This statement is false." To analyze this, we must evaluate the truth value of the statement. If we assume that the statement is true, then it must correctly describe itself as false. However, if it is actually false, then the statement is indeed true, as it asserts its own falsehood. This results in a contradiction, since the statement cannot consistently be both true and false simultaneously. This paradox underscores a fundamental issue with self-referential statements within conventional binary logic systems, where statements are generally classified as either true or false. The liar's paradox challenges this binary categorization by presenting a scenario in which a statement's truth value cannot be definitively determined. The paradox has its origins in ancient philosophical debates. One of the earliest known instances is attributed to the Greek philosopher Epimenides, who famously declared, "All Cretans are liars." Since Epimenides himself was a Cretan, his statement becomes self-referential. If his statement is true, then, as a Cretan, he must be lying, which creates a contradiction. Conversely, if he is lying, then not all Cretans are liars, rendering his statement false. This early example illustrates the paradoxical nature of self-referential statements. In modern logic, the liar's paradox is often expressed in a more precise manner, using the statement, "This statement is false." This formulation encapsulates the essence of the paradox, making it a clear example of how self-reference can generate logical contradictions. The paradox calls into question our ability to categorize statements within simple truth classifications and exposes deeper issues in the foundations of logic. The basic liar's paradox can be extended to create various paradoxical statements. For instance, consider the statement, "This statement is neither true nor false." This variation introduces the concept that a statement might not conform to the traditional binary classification of truth and falsehood, prompting discussions on whether alternative logical categories or frameworks are necessary to address such cases. Another variation involves a set of self-referential statements. If we construct a group of statements where each refers to the truth value of the others, we create intricate networks of self-reference that further complicate the paradox. These variations demonstrate that the paradox is not confined to a single expression, but can be adapted to examine different facets of self-reference and logical consistency. The liar's paradox has profound implications for the study of logic and formal systems. It reveals weaknesses in conventional logical frameworks that rely on binary truth values by presenting a situation where a statement's truth value cannot be clearly determined. The paradox challenges the sufficiency of existing logical systems in handling self-referential and contradictory statements. Furthermore, it sets the groundwork for the exploration of more advanced logical theories aimed at resolving such issues. Understanding the liar's paradox requires us to consider how formal systems can be structured to prevent contradictions and incorporate self-referential statements coherently. To delve deeper into the liar's paradox, we must examine its logical and philosophical consequences. This paradox is not merely an intellectual curiosity, but represents a fundamental challenge to the foundations of logic and our understanding of self-reference. By analyzing these implications, we can gain a greater appreciation of the complexities involved and the broader impact on formal reasoning. The liar's paradox highlights significant flaws within classical logic systems, particularly regarding self-reference and the concept of truth. Classical logic traditionally categorizes statements as either true or false. However, the liar's paradox creates a situation where this binary classification breaks down. The statement, "This statement is false," cannot be neatly placed into either category without resulting in contradiction. The paradox challenges the assumption that every statement must possess a definitive truth value. If a statement refers to itself and forms a logical loop, traditional binary logic cannot consistently resolve its truth status. This suggests a limitation in classical logical systems, indicating that they may not be fully capable of addressing all types of self-referential statements. The implications of the liar's paradox extend to formal systems in mathematics and logic. Formal systems are intended to provide a rigorous framework for reasoning while avoiding contradictions. However, the liar's paradox exposes vulnerabilities in these systems, particularly when self-reference is involved. One method of addressing this problem is to modify formal systems to prevent self-referential statements from leading to contradictions. For example, type theory, developed by Bertrand Russell and others, introduces a hierarchy of types to eliminate self-reference. In this system, sets are arranged into different levels, and a set cannot include itself or other sets of the same or higher levels. This hierarchical approach mitigates paradoxes by preventing the formation of self-referential statements. Philosophically, the liar's paradox raises crucial questions about the nature of truth and meaning. It challenges the notion that statements can always be classified as true or false, and encourages the exploration of more nuanced approaches to truth. The paradox implies that traditional concepts of truth may have inherent limitations, and that alternative frameworks may be necessary to accommodate self-referential statements. Furthermore, it highlights the complexities of language and meaning. When a statement refers to itself, it can generate logical loops that defy conventional understanding. This has broader implications for how we interpret language and meaning, suggesting that self-reference introduces challenges that demand careful examination. In response to the difficulties posed by the liar's paradox, various alternative approaches have been developed. One such approach is semantic theory, which investigates how meaning and truth can be managed in the context of self-reference. Semantic theories aim to create a framework that consistently defines and interprets statements about truth. Another approach is dialetheism, which permits statements to be both true and false simultaneously. This perspective challenges the traditional binary notion of truth and provides a means of addressing self-referential paradoxes by acknowledging that some statements may possess multiple truth values. Dialetheism offers a way to accommodate paradoxes, like the liar's paradox, without resorting to contradictions. The liar's paradox has had a significant influence on both logic and philosophy, exposing the limitations of classical methods and prompting the advancement of new theories. It has spurred further exploration into the nature of truth, self-reference, and formal reasoning. The paradox serves as a catalyst for the development of more sophisticated logical frameworks and philosophical perspectives. By studying the liar's paradox and its implications, we gain valuable insights into the challenges of defining and understanding truth in the presence of self-reference. The paradox not only questions our understanding of logic and truth, but also carries substantial implications across multiple fields beyond philosophy and formal logic. Its influence extends to areas such as computer science, mathematics, and linguistics, affecting both theoretical and practical considerations. In computer science, the liar's paradox underscores the necessity of addressing self-reference and recursion in programming and algorithm design. Self-referential constructs, such as recursive functions, are prevalent in programming, but must be carefully controlled to avoid paradoxical results. For example, a function that calls itself without appropriate termination conditions can lead to infinite loops or undefined behavior, resembling the paradoxical issues of self-reference observed in the liar's paradox. To manage self-reference in programming, techniques such as base cases in recursion are employed to prevent infinite loops and ensure that functions terminate. These techniques are crucial in avoiding paradoxical pitfalls that arise when self-reference is inadequately constrained. Recognizing and managing recursion is essential in developing reliable and efficient algorithms, and insights from paradoxes like the liar's paradox contribute to this understanding. The liar's paradox continues to shape discussions in various disciplines, inspiring deeper inquiries into logic, philosophy, and language, and its impact extends into practical applications in mathematics, computer science, and linguistics. The Ship of Theseus. The Ship of Theseus presents enduring and thought-provoking puzzles in philosophy, raising deep questions about identity, change, and what it means for an object to remain the same over time. The paradox revolves around the idea of gradual replacement. If a ship, over the course of many years, has each of its parts replaced one by one until none of the original components remain, can we still consider it to be the same ship? This seemingly simple question has profound implications for how we think about objects, identity, and continuity. The paradox is named after Theseus, a legendary figure in Greek mythology. As the story goes, after Theseus successfully returned from his many adventures, including the famous encounter with the Minotaur, the Athenians preserved his ship in honor of his heroism. Over time, however, the wooden parts of the ship began to rot and decay. To preserve the ship, the Athenians replaced each plank, mast, and beam with new materials. Eventually, every single part of the ship was replaced. The question that arises is whether the ship, after all these replacements, is still the same vessel that Theseus sailed. At first glance, it might seem obvious that the ship remained the same. After all, it retains its form, function, and purpose. It continues to be recognized as the Ship of Theseus, serving as a symbol of Theseus's legacy and a piece of Athenian history. However, the fact that none of the original materials remain raises a significant challenge to this view. If the ship's identity is tied to its physical components, then how can it be the same ship if all those components have been replaced? This leads us to the philosophical concept of identity over time, which concerns how an object can maintain its identity despite undergoing changes. One approach to this question is to focus on physical continuity, the idea that an object's identity is preserved as long as there is some form of physical continuity between its past and present states. According to this view, the ship's identity would be compromised as its original parts are replaced, and it would eventually become a different ship once all the parts are new. However, this approach raises further questions. For instance, if identity is based on physical continuity, how many parts need to be replaced before the ship is no longer the same? Is there a specific threshold at which the ship's identity changes, or is the loss of identity a gradual process, where the ship slowly becomes less Theseus's ship and more something else? These questions illustrate the difficulty of defining identity purely in terms of physical continuity. Another perspective emphasizes the importance of conceptual identity, the idea that the identity of an object is not tied to its physical parts, but to its concept or role. From this standpoint, the Ship of Theseus remains the same as long as it continues to fulfill the same function and is recognized as the same entity by those who interact with it. This view suggests that the ship's identity is preserved not through its materials, but through the continuity of its form, purpose, and meaning within society. This conceptual approach aligns with how we often think about identity in everyday life. Consider, for example, a museum artifact that has been restored with new material to maintain its appearance. Even though the materials are different, the artifact may still be regarded as authentic because it represents the same historical object. Similarly, the Ship of Theseus might retain its identity as long as it continues to be understood and valued as the ship associated with Theseus, regardless of the changes it has undergone. However, this raises the question of what exactly we are identifying when we say the ship is the same. Are we identifying a physical object, a concept, or something else entirely? And if the ship's identity is conceptual rather than physical, does that mean that any object could be considered the same as long as it fits the concept? These are some of the deeper questions that the Ship of Theseus paradox invites us to explore. Building on the idea of identity, the Ship of Theseus paradox takes a more complex turn when we consider scenarios that further challenge our intuitions about what it means for something to remain the same over time. One of the most intriguing variations of this thought experiment involves the possibility of reassembling the original ship using the discarded parts. Suppose every plank, mast, and beam that was replaced on Theseus's ship was carefully stored, and eventually, these original parts were reassembled into a ship. Now, we are faced with a perplexing situation. There are two ships, one made entirely of new parts and another made of the original parts. Which one, if either, is the true ship of Theseus? This question introduces the concept of reassembly, which complicates the notions of physical continuity and conceptual identity even further. If the ship's identity is tied to its original parts, then it might seem that the reassembled ship, composed entirely of the original materials, should be considered the authentic ship of Theseus. After all, it possesses the very same physical components that once made up the ship Theseus sailed. From this perspective, the ship that has undergone repairs with new parts could be seen as a replica or a new ship altogether, despite its continuity in function and form. However, the situation is not so straightforward. If we accept that the reassembled ship is the true ship of Theseus, we face the challenge of explaining why the ship that has remained in use, the one that has been gradually repaired and maintained, is not the original. This ship has been preserved with the intention of maintaining Theseus's legacy, and it has continued to serve as a cultural and historical symbol. Can we dismiss its identity simply because its physical components have been replaced? The tension between these two perspectives forces us to confront the idea that identity might not be a straightforward concept, but rather something that can be influenced by context and intention. The reassembled ship, while physically identical to the original, lacks the continuity of history and function that the repaired ship possesses. On the other hand, the repaired ship, while maintaining its functional continuity, does not have the same material connection to the original vessel. This raises the possibility that both ships might, in some sense, be considered the ship of Theseus, each representing different aspects of identity, one tied to physical continuity and the other to conceptual or functional continuity. The ship of Theseus paradox is not just a puzzle about a ship, but a profound exploration of what it means to be the same, whether as an object, a person, or a society. The paradox of the lottery. Imagine you have just bought a ticket for a massive lottery drawing. The chances of winning are incredibly small, let's say just 1 in 10 million. Despite the overwhelming odds stacked against you, you find yourself filled with excitement and hope. Interestingly, when you hold that ticket in your hand, there's a sense of confidence that you might just be the lucky winner. This personal conviction appears strangely rational, even in the face of such astronomical odds. Now, let's broaden our perspective. In a massive lottery, where each ticket has an almost negligible chance of winning, every single ticket holder can maintain a sense of optimism about their own prospects. This intriguing phenomenon is known as the paradox of the lottery. The core of this paradox lies in the stark contrast between the statistically high probability of losing and an individual's personal belief that they might emerge victorious. The paradox becomes even more fascinating when we examine the collective outcome. Despite each individual ticket holder believing they have a chance to win, the reality is that only one ticket, or perhaps just a handful at most, will actually claim the prize. This creates a striking logical inconsistency. How can so many people believe they will win when, statistically, the vast majority are bound to lose? To illustrate this paradox more vividly, let's picture a lottery with 10 million tickets in circulation. Each ticket has a 1 in 10 million chance of winning. If every single ticket holder maintains the belief that they will be the lucky winner, their conviction appears wildly irrational, given the overwhelming odds. However, on a personal level, it seems somewhat reasonable. Each individual is unlikely to consider the probability of the entire group losing. Instead, they focus only on their own ticket and its potential. This paradox highlights the intriguing conflict between personal belief and collective statistical reality. It demonstrates how individuals can simultaneously hold seemingly contradictory views. They can believe in their own chances of winning, while acknowledging that the majority of ticket holders will inevitably face disappointment. Let's explore the paradox of the lottery in greater depth by examining the fascinating interplay between individual belief and statistical reality. Each lottery participant's conviction that they might win is deeply rooted in their personal investment in the outcome. Even though they are intellectually aware of the minuscule probability of winning, their hope remains strong and intensely personal. This deeply held belief stands in stark contrast to the cold, hard statistical reality. From a purely mathematical standpoint, if there are 10 million tickets in circulation and only one ultimate winner, the probability of winning with any given ticket is extremely low. Yet, remarkably, this statistical fact seems to have little impact on the optimistic outlook maintained by each ticket holder. One enlightening way to understand this paradox is to consider the distinction between subjective probability and objective probability. Subjective probability refers to the personal belief or confidence an individual holds about an outcome, while objective probability represents the actual mathematical likelihood of an event occurring. In the context of the lottery, the subjective probability for each ticket holder is greatly influenced by their hope and personal investment in the outcome. This subjective viewpoint can lead to the seemingly irrational belief that their particular ticket somehow has a better chance of winning than it objectively does. On the other hand, objective probability reflects the true, exceedingly small chance of winning. This stark contrast between subjective belief and objective probability lies at the heart of the paradox. People cling to their personal chances of success despite being fully aware of the statistical odds, resulting in an apparent contradiction. The paradox goes beyond just the improbability of winning. It delves into the very nature of rationality in personal belief when faced with overwhelming odds. It also intersects with fascinating cognitive biases and psychological factors that shape human decision-making. People often exhibit a tendency to overestimate their own chances of success in situations with low probabilities, a phenomenon psychologists call the optimism bias. This cognitive bias helps explain why an individual can hold a seemingly rational belief in their potential to win, even when the odds are overwhelmingly against them. The paradox of the lottery opens up a Pandora's box of intriguing questions about human psychology, decision-making, and belief systems. It challenges our fundamental understanding of how people perceive probabilities and make choices based on those perceptions. The paradox of the lottery opens up a Pandora's box of intriguing questions about human psychology, decision-making, and belief systems. It challenges our fundamental understanding of how people perceive probabilities and make choices based on those perceptions. One significant implication of this paradox is that it highlights the limitations of purely rational decision-making models. Traditional rational models assume that individuals make decisions based purely on objective probabilities. However, the paradox of the lottery vividly demonstrates that personal beliefs and psychological factors have a powerful influence on decision-making, often leading to behavior that appears irrational when viewed through a statistical lens. This paradox also carries broader implications for understanding how people navigate risk and uncertainty in various areas of life. Beyond lotteries, individuals often face situations where the probability of a desired outcome is extremely low, yet their personal belief in a positive result remains strong. This phenomenon can significantly impact behavior in a variety of fields, including gambling, investment decisions, and even health-related choices. Another fascinating aspect of the paradox is its relevance to ongoing discussions in the fields of probability theory and decision theory. It highlights the complexity of aligning subjective beliefs with objective probabilities and presents a challenge to traditional models that assume purely rational decision-making processes. Ultimately, the paradox of the lottery serves as a powerful reminder of the profound impact that hope and personal belief have in shaping human behavior. Despite the cold, hard statistical odds, individuals' beliefs and emotions play a crucial role in their decision-making processes. By grappling with this paradox, we gain a deeper understanding of the complex and often surprising relationship between probability, belief, and human behavior. In conclusion, the paradox of the lottery offers a captivating exploration of the tension between personal belief and statistical reality. It challenges conventional thinking about probability, decision-making, and human psychology, providing valuable insights into the intricate ways we perceive and respond to uncertainty in our lives. The paradox prompts us to explore ways to distribute authority more equitably and ensure that decision-making processes are fair and representative. The implications of the paradox extend to various fields, including politics, business, and organizational leadership. Understanding the challenges linked to authority and decision-making can inform strategies for effective leadership and governance. By acknowledging the limitations of authority and emphasizing rationality, transparency, and accountability, leaders can navigate complex decisions more effectively and promote positive outcomes. The paradox of the ruler provides valuable insights into the nature of authority, decision-making, and leadership. By exploring this paradox, we can engage in broader reflections on the role of authority in shaping decisions and the difficulties associated with rational decision-making. One crucial reflection is the relationship between authority and ethical decision-making. The paradox compels us to consider how ethical principles and values intersect with the exercise of authority. Leaders and rulers have a duty to make decisions that align with ethical standards and promote the well-being of their subjects. The paradox underscores the importance of integrating ethical considerations into decision-making processes to ensure that authority is exercised in a fair and just manner. Another reflection concerns the impact of decision-making complexity on leadership effectiveness. In an increasingly complex and interconnected world, leaders encounter numerous challenges in making decisions that account for diverse factors and potential consequences. The paradox highlights the need for decision-making frameworks that can manage complexity and uncertainty, enabling leaders to make informed and rational choices. The paradox also prompts us to consider the role of technology and innovation in decision-making. Advances in technology, such as data analytics and artificial intelligence, have the potential to enhance decision-making processes by providing valuable insights and supporting evidence-based approaches. However, the paradox reminds us that technology alone cannot resolve all the challenges linked to decision-making. It is crucial to consider the broader context, including ethical and social dimensions, when utilizing technology for decision support. Looking ahead, the paradox of the ruler remains relevant in discussions surrounding leadership, governance, and decision-making. As societies evolve and encounter new challenges, understanding the dynamics of authority and rationality remains crucial. By addressing the insights and implications of the paradox, we can work towards establishing decision-making systems that are more effective, equitable, and aligned with ethical principles. In conclusion, the paradox of the ruler presents a compelling framework for examining the complexities of authority and decision-making. It encourages us to reflect on the boundaries of authority, the function of rationality, and the significance of transparency and accountability. By contemplating this paradox and its implications, we gain valuable perspectives on leadership and the pursuit of effective and ethical decision-making. The paradox of the ruler. The paradox of the ruler can be demonstrated through various examples. A common illustration involves a ruler who must choose between two opposing policies or courses of action. This decision may necessitate evaluating multiple factors, such as the well-being of their subjects, economic considerations, and personal inclinations. The paradox arises from the difficulty of making a decision that is both rational and aligned with the ruler's responsibilities. For example, consider a ruler faced with selecting between two policies. One that benefits the majority but requires substantial sacrifices from a minority, and another that aids the minority while imposing costs on the majority. The ruler must balance these conflicting interests and act in the best interest of their domain. One crucial component of the paradox is the notion of rationality. Rationality entails making decisions based on logical reasoning and evidence. However, a ruler's decision-making process may be swayed by personal biases, political pressures, and the necessity of maintaining authority. This raises the question of whether a ruler can truly make a rational decision under such influences. Another significant element is the concept of authority. A ruler's authority is derived from their position and the power entrusted to them by their role. This authority enables the ruler to make decisions on behalf of their subjects. However, the paradox questions whether this authority alone is adequate for making rational and just decisions. If a ruler's authority is built upon certain assumptions or constraints, it may affect their capacity to make impartial choices. The paradox also highlights the challenges of decision-making in complex situations. In real-world scenarios, rulers and leaders frequently encounter multifaceted problems that cannot be easily solved through straightforward reasoning. The necessity of considering multiple factors and potential consequences complicates decision-making, raising concerns about the feasibility of achieving rationality in such contexts. Furthermore, the paradox of the ruler urges us to contemplate the nature of authority and its constraints. It challenges us to ask whether authority alone is sufficient for making sound decisions, or whether additional factors such as expertise, ethical considerations, and input from others play an essential role. The paradox underscores the importance of analyzing the interplay between authority, rationality, and decision-making in various contexts. The paradox extends beyond theoretical discussions and has practical implications for comprehending authority and decision-making. By examining this paradox, we can gain insights into the challenges that rulers and leaders face, as well as the broader consequences for governance and leadership. One significant implication of the paradox is the influence of authority on decision-making. In practice, rulers and leaders frequently make decisions based on their authority and the power vested in their role. However, the paradox raises concerns about whether authority alone can ensure rational and just decision-making. The mere presence of authority does not necessarily guarantee that decisions will be free from biases or inconsistencies. The paradox also highlights the importance of transparency and accountability in decision-making. Rulers and leaders are often held accountable for their decisions, and their ability to justify and explain these choices is crucial. The paradox emphasizes the necessity of decision-making processes that are transparent and open to scrutiny, ensuring that choices are grounded in sound reasoning and evidence rather than solely on the ruler's authority. Another key aspect of the paradox is the role of expertise and consultation. Rulers and leaders frequently depend on advisors, experts, and input from various stakeholders when making decisions. The paradox highlights the significance of incorporating diverse perspectives and expertise into the decision-making process. By seeking input from others, rulers can enhance the rationality and effectiveness of their decisions, minimizing biases and improving overall outcomes. The paradox also has implications for the design of decision-making systems and structures. In complex situations, it may be beneficial to implement mechanisms that support rational decision-making and mitigate the effects of personal biases. For instance, decision-making frameworks that prioritize evidence-based approaches, stakeholder engagement, and accountability can help address some of the challenges highlighted by the paradox. Additionally, the paradox of the ruler raises questions about the limitations of authority and the potential for power imbalances. When authority is concentrated in the hands of a select few individuals or institutions, there is a risk that decisions may be influenced by personal interests or biases. The paradox prompts us to explore ways to distribute authority more equitably and ensure that decision-making processes are fair and representative. The implications of the paradox extend to various fields, including politics, business, and organizational leadership. Understanding the challenges linked to authority and decision-making can inform strategies for effective leadership and governance. By acknowledging the limitations of authority and emphasizing rationality, transparency, and accountability, leaders can navigate complex decisions more effectively and promote positive outcomes. The paradox of the ruler provides valuable insights into the nature of authority, decision-making, and leadership. By exploring this paradox, we can engage in broader reflections on the role of authority in shaping decisions and the difficulties associated with rational decision-making. One crucial reflection is the relationship between authority and ethical decision-making. The paradox compels us to consider how ethical principles and values intersect with the exercise of authority. Leaders and rulers have a duty to make decisions that align with ethical standards and promote the well-being of their subjects. The paradox underscores the importance of integrating ethical considerations into decision-making processes to ensure that authority is exercised in a fair and just manner. Another reflection concerns the impact of decision-making complexity on leadership effectiveness. In an increasingly complex and interconnected world, Leaders encounter numerous challenges in making decisions that account for diverse factors and potential consequences. The paradox highlights the need for decision-making frameworks that can manage complexity and uncertainty, enabling leaders to make informed and rational choices. The paradox also prompts us to consider the role of technology and innovation in decision-making. Advances in technology, such as data analytics and artificial intelligence, have the potential to enhance decision-making processes by providing valuable insights and supporting evidence-based approaches. However, the paradox reminds us that technology alone cannot resolve all the challenges linked to decision-making. It is crucial to consider the broader context, including ethical and social dimensions, when utilizing technology for decision support. Looking ahead, the paradox of the ruler remains relevant in discussions surrounding leadership, governance, and decision-making. As societies evolve and encounter new challenges, understanding the dynamics of authority and rationality remains crucial. By addressing the insights and implications of the paradox, we can work towards establishing decision-making systems that are more effective, equitable, and aligned with ethical principles. In conclusion, the paradox of the ruler presents a compelling framework for examining the complexities of authority and decision-making. It encourages us to reflect on the boundaries of authority, the function of rationality, and the significance of transparency and accountability. By contemplating this paradox and its implications, we gain valuable perspectives on leadership and the pursuit of effective and ethical decision-making.